Welcome to Eventvods. Watch the full game from EMEA Masters, Winter 2025.
To find picks that are still working, and as you can see, we're already in the draft and we're starting the same way that we also started last series and also ended with a lot of bows buns.
Exactly. Again, 3 targeted events towards our favorite top laner, of course, on the streamer team, who makes sure to draw a lot of attention towards him, either on stream or during the pick and ban phase, of course. In the meantime, we're trying to prepare for a new game. Of course, all those champs that have been picked by SuperMassive, which has been a great composition. I mean, also the way they executed their composition was clean, but still, they need to revitalize. They need to see what they could maybe bring to the table. And it seems one of the first picks that we're going to get through SAM is, of course, Ambessa. And man, she's been an annoyance for a lot of solo queue players, but how could she perform once you play 5v5 in a competitive scene?
Yeah, and I'm also instantly going through my notes to see whether there's maybe a flex pick possible with this Ambessa, because we've also seen multiple teams trying to flex this Ambessa towards the jungle or the mid position if it gets immediately counterpicked. But from what I can see, it's just Armored who has played it, and the immediate answer that then comes out from Los Ratones is, please do not postpone the Baus pick anymore. Just pick the champion that he likes to play, and it's not even a flex pick anymore, because you instantly lock jungle afterwards as well. So we're just gonna see Baus on his classic follow-up here, which he had an amazing performance with in the NLC finals, like an 8,000 gold deficit between him and his direct opponent Vissachachi. That's insane. That's normally just the deficit between teams, not between players. And then Velia on a champion like Pantheon, who's, I'd say, more of a substitute for champions like Vi with point-and-click CC, but it also has some really nice angles where you do not expect him. If he's clearing topside, he can say, oh, wait a second, I may be transitioning in my clear towards the bot lane, but I can also press R and immediately gank bot lane, which can catch a lot of players by surprise, since this champion hasn't been that meta for a long time.
Yeah, definitely. He's always on the run trying to help each lane out. Meanwhile, Skeens is getting also one of his absolute favorite comfort picks. He's getting the Wukong, so definitely a good pickup to also nicely pair up with any CC. And I think, especially if we see the pick that comes after the Wukong, it makes perfectly sense. We're gonna combine with the round Cyclone with the Maelstrom of the cannon. Perfect addition. I mean, we have seen one cannon before as a supporter in the bot lane. I think with this time we might really have a cannon coming up for top lane.
Yeah, might be. We also might see Jenna for Reckless, right? I mean, if you want to have some disengage, it could be good to pick that. But if you go back towards Velja, we felt like he needed a little bit more agency. Of course, we're still in the pick and ban phase. There's still a couple of champs that need to be picked. But SM, do you feel like, in a way, Los Ratones are right now drafting, there is more agency for Velja?
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, with a champion like Pantheon, where from Spica was one of the first to pick him up back in NA, he showed us that there's this amazing interaction between this champion and Sundered Sky, where you can press W and get 3 crits for free instead of 1. So there's some really good item synergy with this champion, getting items like Black Cleaver as well to make sure that there's armor shred on points. I think that this champion is just really underrated. It's nice that he's finally being picked up again, and he has potential in both the carry position, and if he doesn't get all the last hits, he will always be that budget Vi that flashes forwards, point and click CC on the carry, and make sure it doesn't move for the rest of the game, or at least for the next 40 seconds in Grain Screens Simulator.
So far, the stream of Los Ratones seems like a question of, how do you want to tower dive? And their combo is just like, yes, we want to realm warp there. Yes, we want to have Pantheon diving in there. And Boss is like, just diving? I gotta disable the whole goddamn turret. So there's definitely a lot of interesting stuff going down. I hope they really find back into the series, and maybe having like a carry that they can now play for. Like maybe a hyper carry? I don't want a Xayah Crownie. Come on, give us something. Something that's worth carrying.
I'd say that Crownie is also in the position after the last couple of games that he's like, oh, I don't want to get like completely dove on, but okay. I kind of vibe with this Jhin, because there's little to no tanks or like champions that build a lot of armor that are still draftable, unless this cannon is still going towards bot.
Dude, look at the composition of SuperMassive. Like, someone needs to disengage for Crownie, because if one of these champions reaches Jhin, you're screwed. There's nothing you can do. So I'm wondering what Reckless will do to round out their comp.
Is Jhin the main character of this composition? I don't think so. Like, in my opinion,
if you have read his lore, you would know he wants to be.
No, true. But like, Even with Kali's performance at first stand with a champion like Jhin, in the early game, he's a champion that can be fairly aggressive in laning phase, but is also just there to hit that W from all the way down the lane to make sure that someone gets CC'd, and your ultimate is more of a utility spell, even though you can still finish off a lot of opponents. So I still see a lot of possibilities that Crownie can just position himself really far away from the fight, but still add to it and make sure that Nemesis can just take completely over.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, they try to give at least Crownie a little bit of help with the Alistar being able to kick out the cannon, but I definitely see the scenario where like all of Los Ratones is going in except for Crownie being like in the back line trying to do like the snipes, and he's kind of getting left behind. And I definitely want Los Ratones to be the team that goes into early game now really confident and gonna contest everything, because playing this draft from behind, no fun.
Exactly, and it all comes down to what is the conclusion of this pick and ban phase. We have seen the draft phase, so that means we have to compare it a little bit to the first game. Rixal is kicking off with you. Los Ratones needs to make a change in order to fight their way back into this quarterfinals. Do you feel like with this, changing up their composition, they can find their way towards their first win in the series?
I love the idea. Don't get me wrong. I love the idea of just like Velia and Nemesis with like the first ultimates, maybe trying to get their way either to top lane or to bot lane, feeding one of the carriers, getting one ahead. But from what we have seen so far in the tournament of then, I'm really struggling to get them like the benefit of the doubt that they're able to execute it. I mean, yeah, SuperMassive also has a very risky draft with like the cannon, with like the Ambassador. They are also very squishy if they don't get ahead, and they're also really pain to play from behind. But SuperMassive, they looked so confident. I'm still hanging on to them.
So we're gonna go to 2-0?
I think so.
Ooh, that's gonna be a quick best of 5. SIM, what do you feel like is gonna happen?
I feel like just going against the current. I see do and be Rise Nemesis mechanics. I see Crownie being able to do stuff on Jhin, one of my other favorite champions in the game. Los Ratones fans, let them hear yourselves in the chat. Stand all behind your team, because this is going to be the 1-1 and Los Ratones will make this a series.
I love it. It might be a 2-0 or it might be a 1-1. Let's see what will happen in the next game. And we got a good news for you guys there at home, because we do not have a Fearless Draft in our caster desk. They're the same casters. Black Bloxer and Trajan are ready for the next game.
Thank you very much, Bo. Now, this is a very different story, is it not, Bloxer? This is a completely different speed for Los Ratones. They've clearly tried to shake things up and trying to get things back going their way before this quickly becomes an 0-2 down best of 5.
Oh yeah, they've done themselves a little bit of a 180 right here, trying to change things up, and I think they needed to. The last game was poor. Everything went wrong from the very beginning of that game, and they were never able to claw their way back into this one. SuperMassive, they have gone for a similar style for themselves. A little bit crazy, though. We were like, wait, where's the Ambessa going? Where's the Kennen going? Things have definitely changed up a little bit for them, too. And it really is going to be on Los Ratones to change not just the draft, but the outcome of this game.
Absolutely. I do like the pivots that they've made, I must say. I'm a big fan of Nemesis Rise. I think it's a great pick into things like Wukong and Ambessa. You can lock down those tricky movement-based characters. And then we've got the Baus Volibear. We've got the classic. The fact that it has been matched up into a Kennen is a little bit tough. I'm not going to lie. That's a bit of a pain point. Perhaps we'll see how Baus handles that. But right now, I like the adjustments that Los Ratones have made. Now, Fiesta taking the Ambessa into mid lane, going to get some late vision down and keep an eye on that Pantheon, because the Velia Pantheon is a force of nature in itself. It is very scary early on.
Exactly, it's been one of those best pickups for him so far, and it's the sort of thing that can completely take over a game. Very much like in the previous game, though, I would like to see him play aggressively, see if he can get a couple of early ganks off. Now, you're very rarely going to be looking to early gank anywhere towards Baus, but since things have changed around, since you're not actually playing up into the Volibear in the top lane, I think actually top lane could be a potential place to go try get a couple of early kills. Armut, I don't entirely remember how much he's known for this Kennen, but I'm very excited to see it. I think it fits very well into this composition.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to report them to Riot for lane swapping. I think they've managed to find a loophole in the system right now. The lane swap has not been detected. Riot, get down here. They're playing illegally. This is not allowed. But they have actually managed to put Baus back up against the Ambessa. This is clearly what they wanted. So good job by Los Ratones to identify. They do not want any of that smoke from the armor cannon into a melee top lane. So they're going to shift this one up, and it is going to change a bit of that pace of the game, right? Baus now has to be a player that can pivot into these mid-jungle duo kind of plays around the mid lane, whereas Nemesis, especially on the rise, when the ult is still low level, doesn't have that much mobility involved, is not going to be that able to rotate to the plays throughout that laning phase.
No, it definitely takes a lot of the early priority that you can get off of a rise in skirmishes completely away from the Rats. It's a great play out of SuperMassive to be able to change up the course of this game just a little bit, make it a little bit more uncomfortable for Los Ratones to be able to play it out. At least so far in these laning phases, nothing too spicy has been happening. We've been watching the junglers jump around into each other's jungles a little bit, see what they can steal away across their own as well. Things have been pretty calm early on. As much as we talk about the Pantheon needing to get things going early, the same is pretty true for the Wukong. He gives you a little bit more, even if you fall behind, but still, you would love to get a couple of early kills. Specifically, once you hit that level 6, the ganks are incredibly powerful and also works great in these skirmishes, so we need to keep our eyes on that.
They are. Los Ratones are not being tricked right here. They are continuing to rotate Baus around to follow Fiesta, even at the cost of his TP. They do not want to get that bad matchup. Skeens picks up that scuttle on the top side and has not found an answer into Fiesta, into Baus, I should say. Fiesta's going to drop that TP themselves. So Los Ratones, I think, managing this early setup very well to get themselves the matchups that they want. Now the TPs have come back again, and so SuperMassive once again are looking for this Baus to go straight into the rush, pops the recall. They refuse to engage in that kind of tomfoolery as Brownie's getting engaged on by Carry, and Bao loses a lot of his HP for the trouble.
Bao just going to be able to take a decent chunk out of Reckless's health bar as well. Now, as much as there was a ton of explosivity from everybody else in this matchup, Bao in the last game was the carry of dreams. Looked just brilliant.
Just look at these solo laners, man. Like, you can see SuperMassive just stepping into the river going, oh, wait for them to TP, now I'm just going to swap back. They cannot get this set up the way they want. And we're still back here into melee versus ranged at the end of it all. I mean, are we going to swap again? Are we going to just sit and actually let this play out for a minute?
At what time is it worse? At some point, you're spending so much time swapping around that you're going to fall behind on XP. Yeah, nobody cares. Maybe because everybody's having to do the dance, it doesn't matter so much. But you can see why. We're getting a great view of why all of this tomfoolery has been happening. Because Armut should just be able to push Baus around. When you fully get the engage, you can take a decent chunk out. But Armut is just going to be able to sit in this one, keep trying to push Baus back. With the level 6, it's a little bit easier. They have been able to mitigate the worst bit, which is the early levels.
This is going to come in with a flash and the stun. The exhaust there to keep Fiesta locked down, but a flash for the Ambessa will keep the SuperMassive for later alive as we cut back to top lane.
No!
He's got level 6! First blood for the Volibear! After all of that nonsense, he just wins the rage matchup anyway?
Oh, that's so unfortunate right there for Armut. Doesn't quite hit the 6. What did we say? So much moving around back and forth leaves him just a little bit behind in XP. Goes in for a kill. Would have totally gotten it if the Baus wasn't just a little bit closer to that level 6. Ticks it, gets the ulti, and all of a sudden Stormbringer comes on down, gets that initial kill. It's the better version of a lightning rat between the two of them. And that does suck when you spend so much time trying to make that a good matchup.
Volibear is an incredibly hench lightning rat, and I'll be honest, Kennen is
he's a little guy.
Not looking. Yeah, Kennen needs to hit the gym a little bit more to try and take that 1v1. But the M. Night Shyamalan twists of this early game, back and forth we go, straight into the Volibear first kill. Los Ratones really need some of that energy. They needed this game to start off right and stop themselves kind of falling into a bit of despair if the series was going to go too badly. Grub's picked up by SuperMassive jungler. Skeens looking for an angle into the top side, but Baus, for once, he is respecting this threat and is sitting back by the tower.
He's even going to be able to get a little chunk out of Armut on the turnaround as well. It's just well played here from Baus to recognize, hey, going too far forward is not going to work out. Fiesta also going to step up and do the flash on the last time this happened.
Ooh, there's the engage coming through Fiesta now. Doesn't have that summoner, but still just Ambesses his way to safety. The Velia Spear cannot kill him, even with the execution possibility there. Nemesis has full control of the wave, at least should be able to get a plate, I imagine, but still no kill found.
That to back off, otherwise that Enchanted Crystal Arrow could have been pretty bad. Fiesta's still going to be able to step up and clear the rest of that wave, and the power plate hasn't gone down yet. Gonna have to recall at some point. I know Ambessa can survive for a ridiculously long time, has a lot of heals and shields and dashes and, well, you know, modern day champion nonsense in the pocket, but still, you really don't want to be going over another kill to Los Ratones right now. They've got the kind of composition that would love to get ahead early. It's got some decent scaling on it too, but I don't think Los Ratones are going to be looking to take this one into the super late game.
Absolutely, they would love to get this mid-game rolling. Mouse as well, but having that kill in the CS lead, yes, it's still tough when he gets the bad end of these trades. You can see how unfortunate it is, but he's still able to get the wave in. You can back away, and he should be able to stabilize in this matchup, whereas Nemesis is the one laughing from Los Ratones' side. He's the one who already, I think, is in a pretty good matchup, and Los Ratones have been dedicating time and resources to make sure that is locked down and that Fiesta is thoroughly pushed back in this lane.
Just not allowing him to be able to actually step up, try to use this champion to its greatest extent. At the same time, though, I don't think that's going to be the end of the world. The Ambessa very much going to be looking to play it in that skirmish-heavy style once we get our Grubs and our Drakes up and available for the teams to really start trying to scrap around. The first set did go over to SuperMassive, so they put themselves in a decent spot early on, but unlike in the previous game, the Drake was traded back and forth. It's not the same as last game where Los Ratones were getting pushed around back and forth.
Both junglers arriving in the bot side. Now has an ultimate to go for.
Oh, he missed!
Carry misses the E, but the stuns are still there. Steven's around the corner. Velia, even with the engage being semi-bluffed, cannot save the Los Ratones jungler. The Alistair ultimate soaking up the damage and it takes off the Reckless to get back to the tower, but cannot stay alive. Crowdy now doesn't get the stuns he wants, and Carry will still fall as Nemesis TP's in. The call comes out, the Rise to look for another target as in top lane. The ults are being dropped, stuns are being layered, the slowdown, and Baus is just taking bites out of armor. Bao falls to Nemesis, and Los Ratones scrap their way back in the extended play.
Oh, NLC rejoice. It doesn't look like it's just going to be a complete collapse right here from Los Ratones. They are fighting in this game. The second solo kill top lane. And right now, another little bit of pressure being put down from Los Ratones. You can see they're so confident on the map at the moment. Just completely taking over this one. And that's off of an engage out of SuperMassive. This is the thing. They can turn things around pretty easily with this composition and the Rats.
Possibly developing in the mid lane. Reckless headbutting schemes out of dodge right there. Mouse can rotate down first. And SuperMassive know this. They don't want to get overzealous early on. It's already gone a little tough for them. Bella's going to pick up that scuttle. So Los Ratones with the 1,000 gold lead themselves this time, coming out of the 10-minute mark with the Dragon in their pocket. As you mentioned, Blocks, a much better start. The one person we've not seen too much out of yet has honestly been Velia. It's a different case than normal. We saw him get kind of blown out of that bot lane fight before he could have any impact. So once we can get the Pantheon involved, we might be able to see even more.
Exactly, as we've got first items beginning to come through right now. Nemesis has already got his, has had a very easy time of it so far, and it doesn't seem like all of the movement early on has harmed too many of these players, especially not on Los Ratones' side. They're going to be able to move up right here and pick themselves up the rest of these Grubs. It's going to be 3 for 3 on those. May well be trading it back for Drake, as it looks like Baus, as much as he's had a better early game, this is going to be tricky to get away from.
Yeah, this is more what I expected, I'll be honest. Deep up in the bot side, and Bao and Carry have got there. This time, Carry will not miss the Zenith blade. Baus was up, he keeps himself alive, but the cooldown is just a little too long in this early stage. Nemesis is in, finds 3 members on top of his head. And the kill goes over to Skeens, Crowdy and Reckless not in range to help.
That's a bad TP, just complimenting Nemesis, and feels a bit like a caster curse. The TP just brings him straight into harm's way, and like you said, this is what we were expecting a little bit more. This is the power of the... Are they going to go in?
Carry's got his way on there. Reckless drops the ultimate straight away, and they know there's no point following up. Crowning gets the root, gets the damage down. Of course, Sub Carry is very hard to kill. The 4-shot can't get it done, but they will at least not lose any more kills down here.
It's not going to be too bad. Velia actually hovering around the area. Doesn't quite have that ulti back up. Otherwise, that could have been a potentially live situation on the bottom side. Instead, actually going to be able to get those that second set of Grubs and then move on towards this Drake. Again, good plays coming out from Los Ratones, even after a couple of iffy moments down in this bottom side. That's what I was hoping to see out of Bao and Carry, though. This is a very powerful bot lane, the sort of bot lane you can barely get away from. It's tricky enough to get away from an Ash and a Leona separately. Together, they're almost... It's just miserable trying to get away from these two. But actually, they haven't been able to use it too much. Crowny, Reckless, they've been very good so far at spacing it out. Crowny specifically, keeping himself out of harm's way for the majority of these teamfights.
Absolutely, it's served him well out through this lane. The first to get that item completed, 50s that will be triumphantly upgradable later on in the game with the collector as well. So the Jhin pick working out pretty darn well so far. Reckless absorbing all that damage on the Alistair. But yeah, I mean, when Ash and Leona want to fight, it's not really a question. You have to fight them, whether you want to or not. They're gonna hit something.
Oh yeah, even if that initial Zenith blade from Carry misses, it doesn't matter. As long as the first auto attack, from Bao hits, that's all you really need. So he's going to look to take away this blue buff. Could potentially get collapsed upon a little bit. Quite a lot of members in the area.
Aggressive move by Reckless. Now comes the Ash arrow, and Reckless is still suffering. Doesn't have the ultimate as well. He's managed to flash back as well. The ultimate has held a lie right there, but Failure is now in. Stuns on the schemes as Bao is getting crushed by Crowny right here. One more Mystic shot. There it is! Crowny traded back by the Wukong shutdowns about on both sides. I lost my entire understanding of what champion ability names were there, but ultimately, I think SuperMassive are okay with this.
Yeah, I think they're just about going to be happy with this one. The fact that you get a kill onto Crowny there, a little bit of a shutdown on him. You don't lose a shutdown onto Bao. He wasn't in that kind of position, so it is just about going to be a benefit for SuperMassive, but not a massive one. And you can see how these team fights are messy. It's really hard to follow them because nobody's sitting where you expect. They're not just front to backing these ones right now. People flashing around. Esther getting a little hypey right here. Needs to be a bit careful. He doesn't have the ulti. If he did, could have potentially tried to go for Nemi right there. Instead, we are going to have the Rift Herald spawning in not too long, and that could potentially be another place for these teams to really go toe-to-toe.
Ratones taking their turn at invading the jungle, stealing away a buff. They will get it. Massive cannot stop them at this stage. Armor still confined to that top lane tower. Kind of the one member of SuperMassive that has not been able to get a little lease of life back into this game so far. Unfortunately, cannot join so far with the Kennen ultimates. They will be devastating as the game goes on when those items start to come through, but for now, Baus has managed to neutralize it. Goes back to get the Cosmic Drive locked in as well. This Oliver builds, man, as they evolve, become more deranged by the patch.
Yep, I feel like right now he's the champion with the single most interesting build path in that, like, most of them are fine. There's not particularly a Volibear build at the moment that I look at and go, yeah, that's terrible. I mean, I'm sure if you built, I don't know, full... I don't even know. Everything is fine for him at the moment. Hang on.
Not so fine for Fiesta right now as the combo is coming through. The slows and the roots are always there. He looks like he's just about to survive. The Jhin ult's coming through and Nemesis ready to pick up the pieces right there. Successful play on the side lane. SuperMassive could not stop it.
No, and this is exactly what you want to be doing right here. Even through that nice Enchanted Crystallara to at least slow things down. So very tricky to get away. We're talking about how difficult it is to run away from an Ashe and Leona. Well, Jhin does the same sort of thing. You can space these team fights out correctly and use that curtain call towards the end once everybody's defensive calls have been used up. It's so very easy to begin to pick people off. Now getting chased by an angry bear. He's alright.
Brett doesn't quite get caught up, but now SuperMassive comes back. He actually wants to engage and forces the ult from Bao. Bao looking for auto attacks to engage with SuperMassive. They are doggedly chasing down the Volibear and they'll find their kill.
The TP coming in from Fiesta doesn't Fiesta doesn't particularly end in anything too much for him, but you're still going to be able to pick up that kill, get yourself a little bit of priority to head on towards this Herald. And actually goes in here.
The ultimate onto Crowdy, maximum range. Rebellion around the corner can maybe keep alive. Carry looking for an angle here. Hits the Zenith Blade. Crowdy has to cleanse away.
Ignite, he's going to get the kill.
Down. And Leona gets it done. Nemesis flashing in onto Fiesta. Secures one. Bao now without much mana has to deal with the rise. The spells. Machine gunning out as Carry is being 2v1. Flash from Bao. Trading autos isn't enough. Leona ult secures the shutdown. And Los Ratones will get one of their own back. It is messy. It is crazy in the mid lane.
Oh, I mean, in the end, right, it's the Herald that you're able to pick up for yourselves, but because you lose out on that teamfight-ish, kinda, after what is a complete mess of a teamfight once again, going to miss out on this mid lane tier 1 tower. Baus gets jumped here between Armor and Skeens. Is going to have to flash to get away. That's a big engage tool off of the board. And because all of this team fighting takes so long to happen, the next Drake has now spawned, so it's straight over there for Lost Ratones. The pace of this game has just picked up.
Using the jungle camp to get a little bit of HP as well, dropping the lightning crash down to see if he can clear out that wave. The tower just about holding on, and credit to Armor, he's been able to hold on to his own turret thus far, as Lost Ratones stepping up to an uncontested Hextech Drake. This puts them on 3rd Drake point themselves. Baus, first on into Armor, cannot quite secure it, as Nemesis would have been able to solve that equation for them without Nemesis massive coming through the jungle. In they come, Nemesis just pieces out without a second thought, and Baus is left with the dogs. Down goes the turret, in comes the stun. Skeens is on a rampage.
Yeah, and this is a little bit more like the Baus we were expecting. Couple solo kills, couple deaths. And it's a great play there for SuperMassive to be able to just get themselves a little bit back. You know, losing a mid lane tower in trade for the Herald, very often not worth it, but we'll see what they're actually going to be able to do with this one. They can trade it back for the mid lane tier 1, not going to be the end of the world. And it has been very back and forth, but it's interesting to look at where the kills have gone in this very bloody early game. 4-0-2 right now on Skeens, exactly where you would like a little bit of the power right now for SuperMassive. The issue right now, though, is that the other damage carriers really haven't been able to get themselves ahead. Baus specifically is in an okay spot, but nothing really to write home about, whereas it is Nemesis at the moment and Crowny who are doing a ton of work for their team and who have the kills.
The Nemesis Rise is already 2.5 IEC, 2.2k ahead of the opponent in Fiesta. Such a different story from game number 1. And I think for Lost Ratones, in games like this, when it is messy, when it is close, if you go into a mid-game without a clear idea who's ahead on the Rift, these are games that they do tend to succeed in. On an even playing field, this is where some of that experience can come into play, and they do have the gold where they need it to be, at least in some respects. So, Lost Ratones going to try and contest, obviously, around this Drake in 3 minutes right now. They're giving a wide berth to SuperMassive, and Baus, left alone in the top side, picks up a turret for himself.
Going to be able to get a little bit more gold for the team, but with the Rift Herald coming down into the middle lane, let's see what SuperMassive can get back to themselves. Ratones, they're hankering for a fight right now. They're going to be able to catch this very tanky Leona, though.
By Skeens, but the shields come through, keep him alive for now, and now Skeens is more or less on his own. Reckless gets slowed down and stunned. Besta coming in deep, wants the kill on the rise, and Fiesta gets himself some revenge. Barely slipping away as the stun cancels the Jhin ultimate. Armut is in to keep the kills flowing in for SuperMassive. As Baus coming around the corner. Carry trying to get himself onto Crowny. He still has a turret to stand by. And the Volibear looking for a way in. Already though, it's a 3 versus 5. It's not looking great for Ratones. They have to back away.
And without the jungler available right here, they're gonna lose out onto the Atakan. Huge plays for SuperMassive after what was a little bit of an iffy early game. Being able to claw their way back into this one just a little bit. It's at least being traded back for some damage onto the tier 2 in the mid lane by Baus. The issue was, Lost Ratones, they go in, they get a pick, but it's on Carry. And Carry right now is very tanky already. Not the champion that you want to be blowing all of your damage onto. And into the backline goes Skeens, goes Armor, everybody able to make things happen. Really nice public execution out of Fiesta as well to make this team fight a massive victory here for SuperMassive. They're still down in gold. They're still looking down the barrel of their opponents being on sole point. So they're not out of the woods yet. They haven't made up for a couple of mistakes in the early game, but this is a good show of what's to come for SuperMassive.
5v4 at the end of the day. Armut was able to be there. Baus was not, and a big 1.3k of that lead is in Baus's pocket. So that was a pretty big miss for Lost Ratones. Nemesis getting caught out and isn't able to get to safety. So the Dragon's still available in 90 seconds, but a bit more gold secured by SuperMassive. Can get those items on deck. Now Baus is really not enjoying this 1v1 right now. Still gets the shield, gets the heal, and Skeens is there.
The arrow hits.
Connects though. Baus with a beautiful Ash Arrow. Baus ulting in, but it cannot keep him alive.
No, it doesn't matter, and this is a worry right here for the NLC. Felt like Lost Ratones were the best hope we've had in so long. It's been a rough time of it here at the EMEA Masters for anybody in the Nordic and UK regions. And this is looking a lot like our previous experiences so far. Supermassive, they really are just finding themselves picks and kills and being so proactive across the map. Schemes deserves massive praise right now for what he's been able to do in this game. Even though we've been talking about how Bao hasn't actually had the best time of it, not compared to previous game, look at the damage dealt, still doing absolute work in these team fights. And that's the thing, we are getting into the proper team fight portion of this game. And this is a composition that can definitely work for that. As much as we were questioning the Kennen, it's great in a team fight if you can get into the backline.
Yeah, Bao has earned the credit in this one, wailing away, getting the auto attacks down, making sure that front lane hurts for Los Ratones when they try to get some control, as right now they're backing away into the river as the Hextech Drake spawns. Could be Soul for Los Ratones if they can find it. They really could do with another boost to get the momentum back right now, as Supermassive are oh so threatening. This time though, they have Baus in the area. Could be a full 5v5 blowout as out comes the Ashel. The stun falling up as well. Full dive onto Bellis to get the smite off the table. Arbiter's in, doesn't find a good target, but they still got the smite down.
That's the kill that you need. If you're only going to be able to take down one, then it's the jungler you want it to be. Straight onto the Drake goes Supermassive. They're going to be able to pick this one up uncontested, and there really isn't anything else for Los Ratones to get across the rest of the map. The key thing is not just the fact they get Velia in that team fight, but it's that Crowny and Nemesis have to go scattering to the four corners of the map, trying to get away from all of the rest of the damage. Sure, they survive, but if you're running, you're not hitting, you're not being able to be useful for your team. Supermassive, they find themselves a great pick right there.
Very tough for Los Ratones. With so many tools to start the play, and Los Ratones just have not been able to keep the target of the aggression alive. They've not been able to dissuade Supermassive from forcing the issue, and can't get the kills themselves. Now, the Turkish team taking control of the gold lead, marginal though it may be. They have delayed the Hextech Soul risk for Los Ratones for another 4 minutes, and they've really started to take control here.
The later this game goes, the more and more you're going to be seeing Supermassive's carries hitting like trucks. That being said though, you can see in the inventory of Nemesis right now has got 2 needlessly large rods, so that is going to turn into a death cap. A ton of damage available for Los Ratones, and pretty soon as well. He's been sat on those components for a while. That is at least something. These third items coming through on the Jin onto... I don't know that you want this one, actually.
He's committed very hard here. Took a lot of tower shots. The Ash Arrow doesn't connect, and he doesn't die for it. But you can see he has no armor, not a stitch in the inventory. No. So those turret shots are hurting it.
Yeah, and if you can't turn the tower off and you've built like this, yeah, not going to be a particularly good idea to go toe-to-toe with a decently fed little top laner. The Kennen doing well for itself at the moment. Got the Baron spawning onto the Rift right now. 25 minutes into this game, and the gold, barely a whisper between it for all of the fighting. For all that we've been talking about Supermassive taking control of this game, they haven't been able to turn that into a gold lead. That's something Los Ratones have been good at, not allowing gold leads to balloon out of control. At the same time, 3k was the gold lead in the previous game for a very long time, and Supermassive, they were taking it over.
Yeah, it's worth noting as well that a decent chunk of the gold lead is on carry. It does make him pretty hard to kill, but ultimately not as valuable of a 1k as the lead we could say in top lane, or the lead that Schemes has over Velia. This Wukong has been so good this game. Supermassive still need to know and understand where they need to focus. They've done so well at playing together, isolating a target and just removing it from the equation. While as Los Ratones, they just want an opportunity to let Nemesis get some spells down, to let Crowny get a 4th shot off. They need some room to breathe in these fights, and then they can actually maybe show some of the power that they've been able to build up.
Exactly. The team fight from Supermassive wants to happen very quickly, where you blow all of your ultis at once and you burst a couple of main carries down. But if you're able to survive that initial bit of engage for Los Ratones, they've got a great extended team fight composition. Baus can be healing for so much, Reckless can absorb so much damage, and you need a couple rotations, like you said, a couple 4th shots to come through for these team fights to really work. So Los Ratones, they need to slow down these team fights, protect their carries just a little bit more. It's very tricky to do so when there is so much CC and so much backline access for Supermassive just built in from the champions they've got.
Ratones trying to contest this River Brush right here. Step away without securing the vision ward, as they know One more wrong move, and then it's Baron gone, and then you lose the map position, and then it's another Drake gone, and then the turrets start to fall. We're getting to a critical point in this game. We're not too far off the total runtime of game number 1. It has certainly been a big step forward in the series for Los Ratones, but certainly not looking comfortable as of yet. And they do have another game after this. If they are to go down 0-2, it will not be over. We're into the best of 5 portions. Armor gets stunned up. Nemesis around the corner. Doesn't quite get the root though, and Skeens is there.
Dead.
Where's still the shutdown, and Skeens comes around the corner. Bounce, not looking super healthy. Has a flash if he needs it. And finally, a little bit of a clean kill for Los Ratones there.
Yeah, what can they turn this into? 50 seconds until the Drake is going to spawn. Armut will be back up and available, does have the TP to be able to rejoin. Still, it's a nice kill. It gets you a little bit of extra control around the map for them to be able to set up for this Drake, which is exactly what you need right now as Los Ratones. They've got a ton of vision up around the top side, around the Baron, not so much around this Drake, and being able to pick up for yourselves this Hextech Soul would be huge. It would really help them be able to run through these team fights. It works especially well on champions like the Rise, who are already trying to chain together big bits of damage onto multiple carries.
Absolutely they are. 30 seconds now for the next Hextech. Los Ratones trying to get some control over these waves. Faust pushing out top side, got flash, got TP. All the critical members on both sides have every summoner available. For Supermassive, that means you've got Flash Kenanol, you've got Flash Leona, Wukong into the backline, and Bessa as well. And for Los Ratones, you've got that same summoner, but for critical safety to try and get away from that bursty engage that you mentioned, blocks, and here it comes. Crowley gets away first, Reckless beats the front line. Belia trying to soak up what he can, but where are the carries from Los Ratones? Nemesis is around the corner, fighting out Bao. Should be able to get the Ash down as Belia falls again, but Armut arrives just in time. The superhero flying in as Bao steps away with a sliver of HP, and again, Los Ratones in the team fight cannot make it work. Bounce around the corner, looking to hold up the backline of Supermassive. Fiesta actually the first shutdown. Crowley again lives, drops the Kermit call. If they can get the execute, there could be a way for Los Ratones to play this out. Bounce with the shield, he needs to get the heals. Bao is still very low. Crowley gets another. The Bounce drops the ultimate, and here's the long team fight, Bloxer. This is what we said, and the Ratones come out on top.
Exactly, Trajan. Long team fights, surviving carries to get into the later stages of it, and Crowley bouncing between them just beautiful. But more than that, Reckless buying so much space for his members, and they're gonna be able to get themselves this final Drake. Hard fought, difficult team fight. NLC rejoice, because this one was looking a little bit rough, but this is the thing, now that you've got those 3-4 items beginning to come through for the Los Ratones members, this composition is well and truly online. As much as the Baus has had a wild time of it in his lanes early on, at this point the Volibear is nigh on unkillable. Every W just keeping him alive more and more. Transition this one into a Baron as well. Los Ratones, they've exploded out to a 3k goal.
The long staggered death timers mean that members of Supermassive are still coming off the fountain minutes after the play. The Dragon Soul for Los Ratones, the Baron for them. Now they've got Baron.Volibear in a side lane. They've got extra protection on the minion wave for Crowley and Nemesis to push up. They've got the gold lead back in their hands, and they have the soul permanently. Los Ratones, that was a critical turning point in the game, maybe even the series, where they could have crumbled, they could have lost all of what they had, but now Nemesis is getting engaged on Supermassive. They're not done yet. They've not forgotten that the game has not ended, and they found the isolated Rise. They get one kill. Crowley stepping up, looks for more of the Fiesta. GP in from Bounce. Look out for the tower. He goes up to the Armut though on the flash. Stymies up the answer for Los Ratones, and it's a second kill for Supermassive.
That's the thing, as much as you can heal a ton on this Volibear, you have to be able to get those W's off in order to be able to do so. Isn't able to, just stand up. Armut plays that one out brilliantly. Couple kills go on down. The fact that everybody from Supermassive lives right here, massive, but they're still being pushed back underneath their towers. They can't step up right now. It very much feels like Los Ratones are in perfect control of this game. And they're going to be looking towards these next couple of objectives, of course. If they can crack the base open before we get the Drake, before we end up seeing the next Baron, it's going to be huge for being able to get that map control needed to not even turn these into particular fights.
SuperMassive doing excellently to catch. Los Ratones getting a little bit ahead of themselves. And this is a team, this is an organization that, despite being so successful in the history of the TCL, they have won countless splits of that region. At EMEA Masters, they are historically underperformers. It's the Wildcats, it's Galatasaray, it's Besiktas. These are the teams from Turkey that actually land at EMEA. SuperMassive always fall short too early. They're at risk of doing so again if they lose control of this series, but right now, they are not to be slowed down. Nemesis again pulls up. They missed one stun, but they hit the second, and the Rise is dead again.
Oh man, that just looked like such a funny little play where everybody is stood around. Nemesis has no clue what is happening. If he did, I'm sure he would have tried to at least use the ulti or something to get on out of there. Kills go down again. This is the potential of this composition. SuperMassive, their team fights are great, but the pick potential as well really showing up right now. Now, just taking down Nemesis at least buys you a little bit of extra space, a little bit of extra time to get rid of more of this Baron buff, falling off in just about 20 seconds time. You can't really turn that into too much more at the moment. They need a pick at an even more opportune time to make these team fights easier to execute.
Ratones trying to push the reset button a little bit. You can see them holding fast, keep into their lanes, keep into their side of the map. You cannot keep giving picks away to the Ash Leona composition. SuperMassive now holding fast, not letting the game spiral away from them. Just as Los Ratones bounce back, Faust now trying to get something down in the jungle, but meets almost the entire team of SuperMassive around the corner. And Reckless heads in after the fact, trying to buy some time, but has to flash and ult away as Armor still finding the stuns. The rest of Los Ratones riding into assist, but it's still so intimidating, so dangerous for the NLC.
Yeah, the amount of CC, again, we keep seeing it time on time. And that one, getting the flash away from Reckless, getting the ulti out. Now, that one's not such a long cooldown, but you've just taken away a lot of the engaged potential of Los Ratones. They're not going to be able to try to push their advantage at this point. And I've got to be honest, they finished up that Baron play up 3k. Now it's been reduced down to under 1,000. SuperMassive, they've actually played out this Baron buff for Los Ratones very, very well.
Found the picks that they needed. They kept Los Ratones on the back foot. Barely, I don't think they even lost a single objective on the map. No turrets went down. Los Ratones were not able to find a single foothold there. And now we're 90 seconds from Elder. Now we're close to another, what could be pivotal Drake fight. That even despite all the work Los Ratones did in clawing this one back, SuperMassive still once again feel like they are comfortable moving around the map, and it is LR that have to be the ones scared to turn every corner.
Indeed, but you've just witnessed a fourth item going into Crowny's back pocket. Nemesis was already there. The carries for Los Ratones are well and truly online. They just need those longer, more extended team fights to be able to make it happen. It's not been allowed so far. SuperMassive have been doing a great job of being able to at least get involved, get themselves a couple of picks, and stop Los Ratones from being able to set themselves up these team fights. What can they do now, though? Because there are going to be objectives to play around. That's where Los Ratones have looked best so far.
Looking to push in on top side. The rest of Los Ratones getting control of mid wave, clearing out some vision around this dragon pit. They've caught SuperMassive on a reset. Everyone trying to get their buys and their items done before this objective from the Turkish squad. And they'll be back out on the map on time, but Los Ratones are the ones with the vision line. They're the ones who are going to start from a position of strength here in the river.
They are putting themselves good spot right here. That flash from Reckless a little bit harder. Potentially Belia could try to go in. Has been getting bursted down a little bit during these team fights. No flanks that we've been able to see so far. Armor on the flank could be huge. Game breaking right here for SuperMassive, but he's not been able to get himself into that position right now. The moment it looks like it's just going to be a straight up front to back team fight. Fiesta picking up a wave mid lane. He's not going to be with his team yet.
Bowser stepping aggressively to face that disrupt, and again you can see still not that much in terms of resistance. He flows back to join his team as Fiesta is clearing out that mid wave and will now have positioning on the north side of this play. Los Ratones peel back into the river. They still have the ward behind the dragon pit. They've got the pink there in the pixel brush. But it is very, very tense right now. SuperMassive finally got a bit of confidence in stepping into the river.
Start this one up nice and slow still. Fiesta nowhere nearby. There's the engage.
Leona, they're trying to get this threat off the board before they can, but Schemes over the wall, forcing the flash away from Crowley. They've managed to get the Leona, and where is the flash from Armor? Flashing in! There are the stuns! The slicing Maelstrom is devastating for Los Ratones! Val still gets some kills on the backside, and Velia can barely survive. Bodies everywhere in the jungle as the Volibear hunts down the Wukong. Cannot find the slow, gets a shield for himself. Fiesta and Skeens trying desperately to hold this bear at arm's length. But that fight just exploded, Bloxer.
It really did. Armor with the flash into the ulti, exactly what his team needed. Without that, that was going to be a massive team fight for the Lost Returners. They would have been able to pick that one up so easily. But instead, Armor clutch. He's been clutch on the highest stages before. No surprise he's able to step up right now. But in the end, it's kind of a net neutral. Bao's actually going to head down and try to start up this for fun. For why?
He's gonna check this.
Yeah.
He's not on vision technically, but he will be in a moment. And the rest of Lost Returners will come through. Skeens is in the area.
Wait,
Velia's not even alive yet. He does have the ultimate. We're just going for this. Lost Returners are just going for this.
With the Hextech gates, you can do this, but everybody's going to be able to get back involved pretty soon. He's dropping quite fast though.
Sparrow does not connect with anybody. No one's going to get slowed up. Reckless with a double knockout. Velia around the corner. Crowley with the 4-shot secure. And it's down for Lost Ratones. But is it enough to win the fight off the back of it? Skeens is going to get executed. Crowley chased down, but Nemesis, finally Nemesis is able to unload. And SuperMassive have to back away. Fiesta trading down with Velia. The Pantheon barely survives. Armor caught up. But the rise is inevitable. Double kill for Nemesis. And round 2 goes for the Rats.
Never mind, never mind. I shouldn't be questioning what Baus is doing. They just step up, know they can start taking this one, and it's just unfortunate. The carry doesn't quite spot it out in time. Even when they do, it's a little bit too late. The second that Elder goes down, gets picked up by Los Ratones, the fight is won. It was tricky enough even without that massive buff. And with the death timers as long as they are at the moment, Los Ratones, they are going to take us to 1-1 in this series. They're not going down 0-2. They're not worried about this one.
Oh my goodness, Bloxer. Can you say cinema? This game to 39 minutes, 23-21 as the Nexus falls. Los Ratones hold on with their fingernails, right back in the Elder fight, and take the victory to even up. That is crazy. Let's go straight back to the desk. Let's not waste a second because they have a lot to break down here.